What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I swear I was gonna make this video, and I just got busy. Other videos trumped this video, so I never got around to it. But after the Adrien Broner, Marcos Maidana massacre, I was like, fuck, I gotta make this video. So here it is. I want to spend some time talking about the Philly shell, really expose it and decode the Philly shell, and give my vantage point, my thoughts on the Philly shell, and get some things out there, open it up for the discussion. Now, as far as the Philly shell, I've noticed an emerging epidemic, and that's a lot of fighters trying to use the Philly shell. I want to explore some of those situations, talk about Mayweather doing the Philly shell, and I'm going to do that in this video. So as far as the Philly shell, some people think Mayweather created the Philly shell. He did not. He might have perfected it, and for that reason, he's attributed with maybe creating the Philly shell, but it's been around for eons. It's a technique that other people have employed. The best to do it, in my opinion, that I can remember would be James Toney and Floyd Mayweather. I think James Toney excelled because he was very, very naturally gifted, and he could just dodge punches like he was in the Matrix, like it was nobody's business. Floyd Mayweather, I don't think he's naturally as talented with the defense, but more or less habit. I think Floyd Mayweather, he formed the habit. He's from a fighting family. His uncle, his cousins, everybody boxed in his family. He's from a fight family. So from constant repetition, I think Mayweather has created this Philly shell that he's so known for, or the Mayweather shell as he likes to call it. But in my opinion, James Toney is more naturally gifted at defense. I think Mayweather's, he comes from more or less repetition, and because he's been fighting since he was a kid, and he is gifted too, naturally. But James Toney, if you watch some of the old James Toney, prime James Toney, he was dodging punches like crazy, and he was a big dude. He's bigger than Mayweather. So it's pretty uncanny to see James Toney at work. But James Toney and Mayweather, by far my favorites to use the Philly shell. And with Floyd Mayweather, a lot of times he's attributed to the Philly shell, just like anything. He's a superstar. So people remember the best to do it. And it's not that he created it. It's just they remember him because he does it so efficiently. Similar to Michael Jackson. If you look at Michael Jackson, what do you know Michael Jackson for? Being an entertainer, being a great dancer, and inventing dances like the moonwalk. In fact, Michael Jackson arguably didn't create the moonwalk. It was a tap dancing move that they used called, I think, the backslide. And in the 50s, there was a dancer, a tap dancer, similar to Bojangles, named Bill Bailey, who actually had his rendition of the moonwalk. However, Michael Jackson, he was a pop and cult classic. He was an icon, and he did it so effortlessly. He added that swag, that umph when he did the moonwalk. So people link him to it. Even though people did it before him, like Bill Bailey's, it wasn't the same moonwalk that Michael Jackson did. And I think that's what a lot of people get with the Philly shell. They've done versions of the Philly shell. Maybe they were getting hit during the Philly shell, or they didn't do it as effectively as Floyd Mayweather. So I think that's why people liken the Mayweather shell or the Philly shell to Mayweather specifically, just because he does it so effortlessly and he's swift about it. But recently I've seen a slew of different fighters, and it doesn't work for everybody. And there's a few reasons why I want to talk about in this video. Mike Alvarado. Now, Mike Alvarado tried it briefly in the Ruslan-Provodnikov fight. The thing I don't understand about all these fighters trying the Mayweather, a lot of them do it at the worst possible time. Like, they do it when they're in danger. Like, their opponent's like battering them or swarming them. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, they try the fucking Philly shell. Like, that's not going to save you. It doesn't automatically turn you into an armadillo or protect you from everything. So I don't understand why people go to this as if it's a automatic deterrent against punches. You can't just pick up the Philly shell and automatically be gifted at it and you're dodging all punches. You're Keanu Reeves in the Matrix. It doesn't work like that. So Mike Alvarado doing it against Ruslan when Ruslan was tapping that ass in the mid to late rounds, I just don't understand it. Edwin Rodriguez did it against Andre Ward. Andre Ward was clearly dictating the pace after the referee calmed everything down, calmed the action down. I seen Edwin Rodriguez. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Just random people trying the Philly shell. I was watching Friday Night Fights or Fox Sports. They had some fights. I think it was last Friday. Francisco Vargas versus Jerry Belmontes. And Belmontes was against the ropes trying the Philly shell, and he was getting his ass beat and he was getting punished. He was trying the Philly shell, but he was getting tagged with damn near every single punch that his opponent threw. Also, Andre Berto versus Robert Guerrero. Dumb move. Andre Berto was off of a very long layoff. He tested positive for PEDs, and he was suspended for a period of time after the Ortiz fight. And he came back against Robert Guerrero, who was trying to make it a dog fight, a dirty fight, and it was working, and he stuck to his game plan. Guerrero, that is. Andre Berto, again, why, after a long layoff, why would you try a new style that's foreign to you, a new defensive posture? I think some people just like the moonwalk. They just like the way it looks or some shit, and they think, oh, I'm flashy with this. I look cool dodging shots. I really don't understand and I don't get it. I think each fighter needs to fight like themselves. They have to. God's given us all talent. Some people have the gift of gab. Some people are great artists. Some people great singers. You have to know your individual strengths and weaknesses. And Andre Berto, he's an athletic fighter, but that doesn't mean you're automatically blessed. He's actually very top heavy. And he doesn't necessarily use his feet in the best possible way like a Pacquiao or a Mayweather. So him doing the Philly shell is pretty irrelevant. So you could be athletic, you could be in shape. That doesn't automatically mean you're going to be good with the Philly shell. Also, Adrien Broner. Now, Adrien Broner's problem, he's perhaps, I guess, one of the people that were semi-decent, better than, obviously, like a Mike Alvarado or Edwin Rodriguez trying the Philly shell. I think he had success because he had respectable power in the lower weight divisions, and nobody came at him like Marcos Maidana. But the first person who really charged him and said, fuck it, and swung for the fences, exposed that his Philly shell is not as inept as Floyd Mayweather's. He doesn't process information as fast as Floyd Mayweather does. He didn't have the level of experience to know what to do in that given situation when you have a tough as fuck power puncher who's coming at you. And I also think Adrien Broner, part of his downfall with his Philly shell is he cares more about how he looks than actually winning. He wants to know he looks flashy or cool in doing so, as opposed to doing what is going to get him by. He cares more about his persona, which is a big mistake and shows his immaturity in that regard. But Marcos Maidana, he was hitting him. He was getting to him. He was reaching him. Once he knew that he had Adrien Broner kind of figured out, or he knocked him down, it was a wrap for him. And again, Adrien Broner, another big thing for him, he doesn't use his feet. If you look at Mayweather when he does the Philly shell, Mayweather actually is very light and swift on his feet. So that helps with his Philly shell. It's not just about your upper torso and moving and deflecting punches. It's also about getting yourself in position to throw. That's another thing Adrien Broner wasn't doing. The purpose of the Philly shell is not to stay in a fucking shell like a turtle and take punishment, because at the end of the day, if any of you guys have ever boxed, getting punched in the arm, especially a guy like Marcos Maidana who can crack, it hurts. It's going to hurt. Getting punched in the arm, even if you're blocking it, getting punched in the neck, getting punched in the shoulder, these things hurt. And after so long, it's still going to bruise or still going to be tender. It's still going to be sensitive. So the Philly shell is not meant for you to just block and be in this defensive posture and take punishment. Mayweather, when he does it, he deflects shots. He also uses his feet, his head. He's very light on his feet, and he's very quick with his, as far as his reflexes and his ability to counter. Him and Rigondeaux have some of the best countering skills in the game today. Marquez is a great counterpuncher, but he's nowhere as quick as Rigondeaux or Mayweather. That's why they're hard to beat, because Rigondeaux will have you fearful to let your hands go because you're worried about that quick, slick counter. Adrien Broner doesn't let his hands go. He does his Philly shell. He's careless because he's worried about looking cute or cool, and in doing so, as opposed to focusing on the fight. So there's a bunch of people that have done it. These are my reasons why I think they're not as successful. And then there's other people like Mike Alvarado. He doesn't have great footwork to me. He has acceptable footwork against maybe a Brandon Rios, but it's not great. It's not like a Manny Pacquiao. I don't think he's athletic enough to do it. And again, you can't just pick up the Philly shell. It's not like a book. You can just pick it up and then put it down and be good at it. It takes practice. People like Pernell Whitaker, obviously they have God-given talent, but at the same time, they hone their skills. They practice. They work at it. It's not something where you're just going to automatically... I mean, I guess some people are naturally gifted where they could just try it once and it'd be good, but Mike Alvarado or Edwin Rodriguez, it's not necessarily going to work for you. So my advice to fighters is fight like you. Adrien Broner, I think he'd have more success being whoever he was before in the amateurs, before he got famous. Don't try to emulate or mimic someone else, because when the going gets tough and the shit hits the fan and you got a guy like Marcos Maidana, now since you're using a style that's not really your own, you don't know how Floyd Mayweather will react in that situation, because we haven't seen Floyd Mayweather in that situation. So now you're kind of at a crossroads where you don't know what to do. You're stuck. You're like, what would Floyd do? Because you're trying to emulate and use a style that doesn't really necessarily suit you. With some opponents, maybe you can get away with it. Escobedo, you're more athletic, you're quicker than him, you're stronger than him, so it might work. But Marcos Maidana showed the key to defeat Broner's Philly shell, and that's have no respect, power, and don't give him time to process. So I think Broner needs to work on his own style. Fuck the Philly shell. Worry about your own defense. And another thing, when people see Mayweather, they know the Philly shell, and a lot of people act like the Philly shell is his only weapon. The thing that makes Mayweather a tough opponent to defeat is because he has good defense whether he's in the Philly shell or not. Going against Southpaw in the Philly shell is not the best look for you, because it's easier for them to hit based on their particular trajectory. And if you look at the fight with like Robert Guerrero, he didn't do the Philly shell for every single round. I don't even remember him barely using it. So Mayweather is an anomaly. He's his own person. He's perfected it. He's been in the sport for quite some time, and he's worked at it. And he gives his opponents different looks. It's not just Philly shell, Philly shell, Philly shell. So that's really my rant about the Philly shell. Let me know what you guys think. Who else have you seen use the Philly shell? Who else does it good? If I miss anyone other than Mayweather and James Toney, because that's all I really talked about, let me know. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.